How to Not Die, Kinsley Mansion. What's up, Undead? It's your favorite YouTuber, Death Defy, and lately I've been playing this game, How to Not Die. I found the game CD at a flea market. It's like FNAF Security Breach, but not really. Alright, let's get into the rules. 1. Alright, so the first thing to do is go to the power cabinet and flip on the power. Not required, but very helpful. Now, I tried turning on the power to the upstairs bathroom, I then got electrocuted, so don't turn that one on. 2. Windows and doors should always be closed. If you're exploring the mansion and you see an open one, slowly walk away and dial the Kinsley family. They'll have the burglar taken care of and then you can resume the night. Side note, I think this is really lazy game design, but that's how it works. Pretty much everything involves burglars. 3. Fuck the dog. I hate that little shit. Died multiple times because I forgot to feed that fucker. Make sure you feed it or it goes batshit, I think. 4. See a guy, grab a gun. Yeah, that's right. We're packing. To be precise, it's a stun gun. Just shoot him as soon as you can. 5. Okay, so here's the lazy part. There's a monster. Like, you have to look in the closets and under the bed to check for the monster. 5B. If you see it, run like hell. Immediately exit the mansion and call the Kinsley family. 6. Remember how I said the upstairs bathroom has power but you can't access it? That's probably on purpose because the monster is there. Find the camera in the dresser next to the bathroom door and shine a light. See the monster? Refer to Rule 5B. 6B. For some reason, the camera sometimes doesn't spawn. In that case, use the flashlight. I never use it when the camera is there because sometimes the monster just attacks you because of prolonged eye contact. 7. The garage is so buggy. Like, it's so badly made that the collision for the garage floor doesn't even work, so never enter the garage. 8. Okay, now the basement. Never turn on the lights. It's so bright that I nearly blinded myself. In that case, use the camera because the monster can spawn there too. 9. The phone might ring sometimes. You should never pick it up. It starts a really long exposition from the previous homeowner on how the monster is his son or daughter. I don't know. Terrible thing is, burglars still spawn and walk around while the call happens. 10. I almost forgot to mention that this whole thing is your house sitting and burglars try to steal from the home. Your goal is to make sure minimal things get stolen. 11. When it becomes 5 a.m., the monster gets more aggressive. Sometimes you'll see it in the hallway. You cannot run like hell this time and you must freeze. The lights blind him a bit so it cannot see you. 12. Finally, once it reaches 6 a.m., you can exit the house. Just make sure to pay on the counter, or you're deducted points for some reason. That should be it. That's how to beat Kinsley Mansion. Personally, the game design is lazy, but the game loop never gets repetitive. There's actually more levels, but they're DLC. When I tried to search for it, no results. I rate it 6 out of 10. Would die to that dog again. Don't tell them you can see. Here are 8 rules to survive. Rule 1. Don't talk, don't scream, don't react, just see. It was 2 years of absolute darkness. The great blinding arrived like an invisible wave, and before we knew it, all of humanity had plunged into the void. Chaos, hunger, collapses. But over time, we got used to it. We learned to survive blindly. The world became noise, touch, and smell. Then yesterday morning, I woke up seeing. No warning, no miracle. I just opened my eyes and the light was there, as if it had never left. Rule 2. If your vision returns, do not tell anyone. I stood up, still silent, and it was then that I realized the walls, the floor, the ceiling, The cabinets, the doors, the curtains, the mirrors, painted, scribbled, carved, bloodied with the single phrase repeated maniacally. Do not tell them you can see. The paint was dark, uneven, but I knew it. It was blood, fresh in some parts, old, blackened in others. Rule 3. If someone asks you what you're looking at, pretend you're feeling your way around in the air. I heard footsteps. My sister entered the room with her arms outstretched, touching the walls, muttering to herself like everyone was doing now. John, is it good too? I shook my head. She couldn't know. The words danced behind her like an urgent warning. Rule 4. They walk among us, and they are not blind. I started to notice some blind people were too confident. They crossed streets without hesitation. They avoided obstacles without canes, and they stood past a wall covered in words. They smiled. Rule 5. If one of them looks you in the eye, run away. Last night I was in line for the food distribution. I pretended to feel the ground with the stick while looking around. That's when a man stopped on the other side of the street. High, lean, the skin felt tight, as if it weren't his, and then he looked at me, directly. His eyes were as black as bullet holes, and he smiled. I felt something run down my legs. I had urinated myself, but I didn't scream. I obeyed Rule 1. Rule 6. They don't want us to see what the world has become. Today, 17 bodies were hung from downtown trees, all open in the middle, sewn together with wire, as if somebody was trying to assemble new beings. The viscera were hanging like Christmas decorations. Nobody commented, nobody saw it, except me. And one of them, he was behind the tree, the same smile. Rule 7. If you start seeing symbols under people's skin, it's too late. My mother touched my face today. Her skin seemed to pulse beneath my eyes, and then I saw circles, spirals, teeth, eyes, inside the flesh. She was no longer my mother. Maybe it never was. Rule 8. There are many of them, and now they know you can see. In the kitchen, the words had changed. Amidst the hundreds of "don't tell them," a new phrase appeared. Now they know. They came tonight. My nails ripped out, my eyes pierced again. My knees snapped like dry twigs, and before everything went dark, one of them leaned over me and whispered, "You saw it. This is unforgivable." Final rule. If you're reading this and still see, pretend you're not. Heaven is made out of flesh. I'm not anti-Christian. I'm not a Satanist. I am or was agnostic. When I died and went to heaven, there was no light, or angels, or even demons. There was flesh. Undulating, pulsing masses, warm, bleeding intestinal tracts. It reeked of bile, and yet it was the calmest and happiest place I've been. My existence. For context, when I was 19 back in 2008, I got in a fatal car crash and died for 6 minutes. Normally, that would cause intense brain trauma, but I woke up fine. Other than some broken bones, my mind was healthy. I had only the memories of what came after I walked into the light. I remember an angel at the gates, a tall mountainous mass of roots that looked like skin and other tissues made up whatever you could call it. It spoke in deep, slow hums, and yet I understood. It knew my name, It told me my family would be waiting for me on the inside of the gates, and it wasn't lying. I got to see my dead grandmother for the first time since she died in 2000. None of my relatives I saw even mentioned the fact that the heaven that they were in was almost like the innards of a dragon. Beaches of intestines with shores of bile going in and out like small waves. It somehow stunk like the ocean, but there was a tainted, gassy smell to it. I walked the beach with my grandmother and some of her distant relatives who I never recognized. We were trailed by that ominous mountain that I assumed was an angel. We ended up coming face to face with what I can only describe as an obelisk. Thousands of languages scribed on it in bodily fluids and carved with bone. It shined in the light the angel behind us gave off, like a polished marble statue. Every word, even if it didn't know the language, was easy to understand. It told me the secrets of the universe and how the world was created. It was the most beautiful thing I ever read, and I only wish I could transcribe it, but every time I touch my keyboard to do such thing, a small piece of my memory of it fades. I do not wish to lose the beauty of the stories it told me. All I will say is, I'm waiting for the day I go back there and meet with my grandmother again, so we can marvel at the beauty of the afterlife. After this note, I'm gonna go find my grandmother again. Rules of survival at my grandma's house. I write this as a warning. Don't go there. If so, follow these rules. They won't save you, but maybe they'll postpone what's going to happen. Rule 1. Never go up the attic alone. I saw a shadow up there once. I thought it was a figure, but figures don't blink, and much less bleed when you stare at them for too long. It looked back at me, and the skin on my face started to burn like I was being scratched from the inside of my skull. Rule 2. Avoid the back bedroom closet. Sometimes it scratches from the inside. When I was a kid, I thought there was a mouse. Then I heard my name being whispered amongst the creaks of wood. When I opened it, there was only old clothes and a slowly moving dark stain. Rule 3. Never sleep in my late grandfather's bed. My uncle tried, and he woke up with a dislocated jaw and 3 fractured fingers, as if he had been silently beaten. He swears he woke up with someone straddling his chest, smiling. The same crooked smile my grandmother once saw at the top of the stairs. Rule 4. Don't look in the garage after 11 p.m. The lights turn on by itself. The cameras don't capture anyone, but I saw it with my eyes. A figure crossing the garage, dragging something, like a body. When my grandmother's puppy barks, he doesn't bark at nothing. He feels what it is dragging there. Rule 5. When you hear someone shout your name, don't respond. I did this once, and I swear on everything, the voice came from under the sink. I bent down thinking it was a joke, but what I saw haunts me to this day. My own mouth sewn shut trying to open. Rule 6. Never turn your back on the TV in the living room. We were having dinner and my uncle felt patted on the back. He smiled thinking it was my grandmother, but she was in the kitchen. He turned and what he saw was himself, only without eyes and with a smile that didn't fit on his face. Rule 7. If you see someone smiling at the top of the stairs, close your eyes and start praying. It doesn't matter if you are an acquaintance. It doesn't matter if it looks human. Don't smile back. My grandmother did this once, and the next day we found every mirror in the house broken from the inside. Rule 8. Finally, never say out loud that you don't believe. I did it. And now I write this from the hospital, without a tongue, without fingers, with my skin full of symbols that no one can erase. My grandmother's house is old, but it is not empty. My best friend is a chicken. She saved me from a skinwalker. Diary entry 1. I don't expect anyone to believe me. Hell, I barely believe me. But If you're reading this, if something like this ever happens to you, just remember one thing. Trust your chicken. Okay. That sounds kinda crazy. Let me back up. My name's Tamika. I'm 32, live in a small mountain town. No kids, no husband. And for the last 4 years, my best friend has been a fat, bossy hen named Henrietta. She showed up on my porch during a thunderstorm, soaking wet and clucking like she owned the place. I fed her once and she never left. We've been through some things, and Henrietta is not normal. I've known that for a while. She watches TV like she understands it. She knows how to unlock my sliding door, and last year, she fought off a raccoon like it was personal. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for what happened last night. I live near the woods, surrounded by acres of trees. It's quiet, peaceful, until it isn't. Around 2 a.m., Henrietta started screaming. Not clucking, not squawking, screaming. A guttural, human-sounding shriek that made my hairs on my neck stand up. I jumped out of bed and ran to the back door. She was pacing back and forth on the porch, eyes locked on the tree line, and then I saw it. At first, I thought it was a deer. Tall, skinny, pale. But it was standing on 2 legs. And its neck. Oh God, its neck was too long. Like someone had grabbed a person and stretched them. It turned its head slowly, like it knew I was watching, and then, in the voice of my dead grandmother, it whispered my name. Tamika. I froze. My brain couldn't process it. My legs wouldn't move, but Henrietta, that chicken charged. Wings flared, claws out, a furious squawk that didn't even sound like a bird anymore. The thing hissed and backed away, like it was afraid of her. I swear, I said, "Not this one." She remembers. Before vanishing into the trees. Henrietta hasn't left my side since. She's sleeping next to me on the couch right now, one eye open like she's still on guard. I don't know what that thing was, but I know one thing. Henrietta isn't just a chicken. She's something more. And whatever that skinwalker was, it's not done with me yet. My graduation gift. There was a boy who loved living alone, keeping to himself most of the time. One day, he noticed a girl watching him from afar. She finally approached and started talking to him. At first, he hesitated. He wasn't used to company. But gradually, he began to feel something good in her presence. They started spending quality time together, meeting every day after school on the school rooftop, their secret place. One day, she told him she really wanted to ride a roller coaster. He smiled and said, "Okay, let's go together." They bought 2 tickets, but at the counter, everybody looked at him strangely. He thought maybe they were just watching him. And maybe the girl. I don't know. They enjoyed the roller coaster ride, laughing and screaming like kids. Then, just 2 days before graduation, he tried to find her, but couldn't. He searched everywhere, guided only by his heart, because he truly loved her. Finally, on the school rooftop, he found her sitting alone in a corner. Relieved, he sat beside her and asked why she hadn't answered his calls. She said her phone battery had died. Then her behavior suddenly changed. She whispered, "This world is cruel. We don't deserve to live in it." She stood up and asked him, "Do you love me? Do you want to stay with me forever?" He nodded. They held hands and jumped off the tall school rooftop together. While falling, he saw her disappear into the clouds. Everything around him blurred, and he caught one last glimpse of her fading away. Later, it's revealed that boy was mentally depressed. The girl was only a figment of his imagination. At the roller coaster ticket counter, everyone was shocked because he had bought 2 tickets. But he was always alone, talking only to himself. My friend never talks about what happened to her grandma, but I saw it in her eyes. When I was in college, I became friends with a foreign exchange student. I'll call her Leela. She had this quiet, heavy kind of calm about her. You know, that kind of calm that only people who've seen too much too early carry? That was her. We once shared a long night walking back from a campus event, and somehow we ended up talking about childhood. I told her mine. Boring suburbia stuff. She laughed. Then she got quiet. She said, "My grandma raised us until she didn't. She didn't like to talk about her village. It was somewhere deep in the jungle. She never named the country, and I never pressed her. But that night, she told me the one thing she remembers. It was late. She was maybe 5 or 6. Her older brother was supposed to be keeping watch while her grandma slept, but he must have dozed off. She said that there was no warning, no roar, no snarl, just thump, crack, drag, and her grandmother's muffled screams. Like someone trying to scream with their mouth full of dirt and blood. A panther, black as pitch, had broken through their thin hut wall. It bit her grandma's face. Her face, not her leg, not her neck. Her face. She was dragged into the jungle. Her screams didn't last long. No one found a body, just drag marks and blood. Neighbors found Leela and her brother the next morning, clutching each other in shock. A few weeks later, relatives arranged for her to be brought to the US. She's been here ever since. She doesn't remember what happened, that's what she always said. But I saw the way she flinched at animal growls, how her hand shook when she heard something scrape the dorm window late at night, and how she cried once, silently, during a nature documentary when a panther appeared on screen. She doesn't remember, but her body does.
If you enjoyed the story, consider subscribing. But don't blame me if you can't sleep tonight. Until next time, keep the lights on and the doors locked. Goodbye.